Okay, so making the wheel fit. Take 3 this is. You haven't seen take 1 and take 2. It's all gone horribly wrong several times for me. Some of it down to my own stupidity and some of it down to machine failure. However, it's all going to work this time. And when you watch this video, you're going to think, how on earth have I lived my life this far without having a lathe? And you're going to want to go out and buy one. Okay, so we need to make this wheel fit these forks, and it doesn't at the minute. We're going to use this huge lump of old steel because it's the only bit we've got. We did have some other bits which were much better sized, and these are the bits that it went wrong on. So this is overkill, and I hate wasting material, but I'm going to have to because it's the only thing I've got in the garage that is going to be able to do what I want it to do. So when you see what we make out of this, you'll think, bloody hell, that's a bit stupid. This is a bit of steel my dad gave me. That he used a bit of it for making his train. There you go. Funnel of the train, this was. This was the funnel on his train. Or a bit of it was, anyway. So you can imagine how big it used to be. Okay, so, watch this. Okay. 16 minutes later. 2 grinding discs on my little grinder, a very overheated grinder that got to the point where I had to stop using it, and then finished it off by hacksaw. Job done. Okay, so the 3 outer sizes are done. Fantastic. This is ever so slightly too long. That's not a problem because we've got to face it off anyway. And I'm going to make it too long in the first instance by about 1 millimetre. Just in case when I tighten it down on the bearing, I have a little bit of movement. Better to be too long than too short. I can always take a little bit off. Can't add a bit on. Okay, I'm seriously falling out of love with this bike at the minute. Well, not the bike, with my failures, I think, more so than anything to do with the bike. For those of you that have done projects yourselves will know that when you spend an awful lot of time doing something and it keeps going wrong, you just get so fed up. And I'm at that stage at the minute. Okay, so this is the nut. And fantastic, it's all cut down to shape, all cut down to the perfect sizes that I want it to be. Just got to chop the end of it off. It's drilled out inside and you can't see, but it's actually tapped inside there as well, so it screws onto that. Brilliant, all going 100% swimmingly well. It wasn't until last night when I screwed it on just to see how it would fit that I realised a fundamental flaw here. Stop annoying me. Fundamental flaw here being, if I put the nut on this side, captive, the bolt on that side, the wheel's turning in this direction when you're driving along in a forwards way. So just supposing I have a wheel bearing issue or something like that on the front wheel and it starts to tighten up onto the spindle, it's going to undo the nut. It'll actually, from a safety aspect, it is no good, because if there is a problem with that, it will undo the spindle and it will cause me a problem. So the nut has to go on that side of the bike. So if there is a problem, it will just, you know, it will be a problem, but it won't actually disengage the front wheel, which would be a bigger problem. Now the issues here are, because they're different size inners, my nut that I spent a lot of time making is no good. So I've got to start all over again. And this will be, I kid you not, I reckon this will probably be the 4th time this is. Deep breaths. Okay, so just cutting the thread in about there. I've already started. I need to cut it down. Oh, that's where it stops. I need to cut it down to about the end of that, and then that will be far enough. This is our nut, and down inside there is a thread. So what happens with this? This has to go on this side of the bike, we decided, didn't we? So it slides in, sits there nicely, and then it'll nip into place. Okay. So that's our nut. This part here, it's got a whole board right through the middle of it. This will go into this side. Okay. And bear in mind, it will be part of the spindle. It's not at the minute, but it will be. Oh, I can't count it again. And that will nip into place too. Lovely. The spindle. I've cut the raised part of the spindle off. And then the spindle will go through and screw in like so. So this is our nut, stays in there. This part here is the spindle obviously, and this bit here will become part of the spindle, so these two bits will be joined together. These are our spacers. And on, you know, on about the millionth attempt, before I got to this one, I got nearly this far, although I'd done it the wrong way round. And I cut one of these down too much. So these are both too long at the minute. So I'm gonna leave them too long, measure everything all up again, make sure I'm 100% correct before I just turn these spacers down a little bit, both sides, so the wheel's nice and central. Yes. Okay, things are looking good. Okay, so the spacers are all cut down to size. So now we've got to join this spacer to this spindle now. So the spacer's clamped in this fork leg, exactly where it needs to be. So the wheel's nice and tight. The spacer is threaded all the way in and it's bottomed out, so it's threaded all the way through. So what I've got to do is turn this back, the spacer back. So I am going to go just over a turn. It'll be 1.5 millimeters per turn. So just over 2 mil, I reckon. Maybe 1.5 turns back. Okay. Turn this by 1.5 turns back. So 1. 1.5 turns back. Now I'm just going to tack these two together here with a weld, just so they hold in place, and then I can make sure that I can tighten it back down without it bottoming out. What I've also done, okay, I've drilled a couple of holes in the spacer on the side there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to weld it where the holes are, and then I'm also going to put a pin right through the middle of it, just because of what it is, holding it all together. Okay, so I'll just quickly tack it on, see what happens. Okay, so I've welded it here, and I've put a 10mm peg right through the centre of it as well. So there's no way that that is ever going to become detached from that now. So now I've got to clean it all up. So back in the lathe and just clean it up. Okay, so finally, what should have probably been one of the easiest things to do has turned out to be one of the most complicated things to do. However, it is now done. Nut. We have made our nut. Fantastic. Bolt. So this is the old shaft. That was the other bit. It was, I don't know if you'll be able to see, welded. You can't see where the weld is. It's welded here and here, joining these two bits together, and I put a rivet through, right through the centre as well, which you can see there. So this and this will never come apart. Now obviously I've cleaned up the end, but I needed a way of turning it because I've still got to tighten it up. So I bored out the centre a bit and welded in the head of a bolt, an Allen key bolt in there. So now I can turn it and tighten it up. Okay, and then the last little bit here is just a little end cap. So how does it work? How does it work? Fork legs. This side, remember the nut has to go on this side. So the nut goes through and nips into place. This is when it's in, it'll stay where it's got to be. Okay, I'm going to have to put a camera down while I fit the wheel, but I'll fit it and you'll see what happens. Okay, so wheel's in position. So we'll tighten down the spindle and that'll be torqued up, and then we have to tighten down the spindle with the clamp on this side. But before we do, just to confuse a very silly person, we have the perfect size end cap to go in here, so when we clamp down it will tighten down on the spindle and then it will just nip up on this ever so slightly, so this will be in there as well. So when you look at it, it will be impossible to see how the wheel's actually fitted in the first place. So from this side it will look like this, and for the other side you're going to look like this. Brilliant. The disc spacing, you can see the disc spacing is absolutely fantastic. I still can't believe my luck with these discs. I think it's unbelievable the way they've gone on there. But there we have it. One wheel fitted. Job done. Move on to the next thing, rear seat unit.